This is Leah Steele. Welcome to the Wealth Witch podcast. Just a few years ago, I experienced complete financial collapse. We lost a business, our home, and a car. My husband was selling plasma to pay for diapers and formula. I was living a life I hated, and I was miserable. It was the lowest part of my life. It ended up being my biggest blessing. Just a few short years later, I've designed the life of my dreams. I live a life of luxury in beautiful Bali, Indonesia, travel the world, and spend my days helping others manifest wealth and abundance. Living a purpose-led life changed everything for me. This podcast is about my journey, my top tips and tools for manifestation, and interviews with all the amazing, world-changing, inspiring people I meet along the way. Welcome to my world. Hey, everyone. It's Leah Steele, the Wealth Witch, with another episode of the Wealth Witch podcast. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. I'm kind of laughing right now because I've spent the last 40 minutes trying to figure out my home podcast setup. We are in the time of Ms. Rona, and the coronavirus has, I guess just like taken the whole world by storm, right? So I normally record in a studio, and I had a message that I wanted to get out to you guys today. And so I'm here on my iPhone recording through audio memos. I'm really hoping the team can do something in post to really make the sound quality better. But I don't know, sound quality might be poor for a little while on the episodes. Still going to get the content out to you, still going to share the messages, still going to tell you all the things that we need to tell you. So I'm excited about this episode today because I'm going to be sharing something with you guys that not a lot of wealth consciousness teachers will teach about or will talk about. And I think it's something that's really important because we often focus on the positive aspects of manifesting, and we focus on getting our mind right, getting our mindset right, getting our journaling practices down, all the amazing things that we've been talking about in this podcast. But a lot of people won't talk about, once you've tapped into this stream of consciousness that is manifestation, that you just as easily manifest negative things in your life as you do positive things. And so if you're a client that works with me at one of my higher levels, they get sick of me saying this, I'm sure, but I'm constantly saying, mind your mind, mind your mouth. So that's the title of this podcast episode, obviously. And I wanted to share with you some of the tools that I share with my high level clients. And I also wanted to just, tell you the 5 top ways that I really feel like we sabotage our manifestation practices. And some of these are things that maybe you will have heard of. Some of it will be new information for you, but all of these I feel like are so insidious. They literally come in like a wrecking ball and destroy all the progress that we've made, all the hard work that we've done to create these really positive mindset, manifestation practices and tools to create the lives that we deeply desire. So, regardless of what your background is, you may have come from a law of attraction background. You may, have watched The Secret or read the book The Secret. You may, have come and found me through other wealth consciousness teachers like Jen Sincero or Amanda Francis. So there's lots of different paths that have gotten you to this place. Maybe you've just been following me for a while and started watching me and like the things that I was saying. Regardless, if you're here, my belief is that you've tapped into this field of consciousness that is manifestation and manifestation work. As you get more practiced at this work, and as you start to manifest all the amazing good things in your life that you've been wanting to manifest and that you've been wanting to call in, it's really important that you understand that you're not only going to manifest positive things. And this is the thing I think a lot of people don't talk about because they don't want to scare people off, or they don't want to, there is this absolutely this like love and light, only think about the positive shit philosophy out there. And if you've been following me for a long time, I am not about that love and light life. I believe that the shadow and the darkness has to exist in all things. There is no light without the dark. There is no there's no love and light without dark and shadow. And so for me, it's really about being balanced. And this is one of those things that there is no positive manifestation without negative manifestation. Now, can we be aware of that? Can we mitigate a lot of that? Absolutely. But we have to be in a place where, one, we're acknowledging it. Two, we're, embracing some of that darkness and some of that shadow. But the other thing is that we develop an awareness around how we can self-sabotage ourselves and the ways that we can self-sabotage ourselves. So in doing that, in having the awareness and then, getting some tools to help you not do that, you're less likely to be constantly manifesting negative things. We are all powerful beings and creators. Certainly, once you start doing this manifestation work, you're going to be even more powerful. And once you've tapped into this stream of consciousness, you have the ability to instantly manifest. And the things that you're putting your focus on, the things that, and you'll hear this all the time, right? Like what you focus on manifests, or what we resist persists, right? Keep your focus on the positive. This is part of the reason why all the love and light people are always like, just focus on the positive. Don't think about the negative. Just focus on the positive, because they have an awareness that once you become tapped into this stream of manifestation consciousness, that you can manifest the negative. And how they avoid it is by basically telling you to eliminate anything negative from your life, to, push those thoughts out of your head so that you're not thinking about negative things. But the truth is that when we bypass those things and when we ignore them, they tend to just come back tenfold. They tend to come back stronger. So I'm going to talk to you about the 5 ways that I believe and I think we self-sabotage ourselves, and that are some of the most insidious ones, that are some of the most debilitating ones, so that you have an awareness of how this works, so that you can mitigate your negative manifestation in your life. So the first one is languaging. And this one to me is so important. So you guys probably have heard me talk about abracadabra. The word abracadabra literally translates as I speak, I create. So this is where languaging comes into play. I take this a couple steps further. I believe that abracadabra not only means as I speak, I create, but it also means as I think, I create, as I write, I create. So there's no mistake that the words that we speak, think, or write, when we are forming those words, we call it spelling. Spell, S-P-E-L-L, because literally in each moment of every day, we are casting spells with our thoughts and with our words and with our writing. So languaging is the most important part of this. And when I talk about languaging, I'm not talking just about the outward facing languaging we do. So not just about how we speak to our family, our friends, our loved ones, our neighbors, our community, but how also we speak to ourselves. So those inner dialogues that you're having, as well as the external dialogues that you're having. So languaging is important. I'm going to tell you a couple of phrases that I believe are the most debilitating in manifestation. And some of these might surprise you. One is, when I can afford, enter whatever thing here, I'll buy that. When I can afford it, I will. When we can afford it, we're going to go on this vacation. Another one is, when we have the money, we will. When we've got the money, let's do this thing. You'll never have the fucking money. You'll never have the money. You're never going to be able to afford it, because you're literally putting out into the universe, when I have this, when I have that. It is a complete and total standstill in languaging. And so, obviously there's the regular typical ones, which I can't do this, or I'm trying is another one. If you're trying, you're failing, right? It's really important one in manifestation. It's like, for me, you're either doing or you're not doing, and trying is not doing. So you can say I'm working towards, you can say I'm creating is probably my favorite one. Because even I'm working towards puts you into this languaging trick that may make you always be working towards, right? So creating is a really high vibrational word. So I like to say I'm creating this. I'm creating the resources to do this thing, right? Not when I have the money, I will. When I have the money, I will is it's just a bit of a cop out, right? It's just a bit of, yes, someday down the road, I'm going to do that thing. Someday down the road, I might invest in myself in this way. But it's not putting a plan of action and a course of action in play at that moment. If you're actively creating something energetically, that's entirely different. I'm creating the resources right now to go on this trip in 12 months. I'm creating the resources right now to buy a home. I'm whatever it is, right? I love even more the words I'm actively creating. So not only am I creating it, but I'm taking action. I'm actively creating it. So languaging is one thing. Really, really making sure that you are not saying negative things to yourself, that you're not saying things that you think are okay, but are potentially negative. And watch words like try, watch words like can't. I really feel like everyone should just eliminate the word can't from their vocabulary. I always say, I don't like the word no, because for me, I feel like there's always a way to make something happen. Sometimes we need to think outside the box. Sometimes we have to find another route. Sometimes we have to take a different direction to get to a desired result. But if you desire something bad enough, if you want something bad enough, no, or we can't do it, or it can't happen is never an acceptable answer. So this is all where this languaging comes into play. And then obviously, if you're in a place where you're telling yourself that you're a horrible person, or that you're fat, or that you can't do it, or you're not good enough, I mean, all of that stuff has to go, obviously. But I wanted to share some of the ones here that I felt like maybe you weren't catching, like when we have the money, or when we can afford, or and enter anything else into that as well. When I have time, I will. You'll never have the time. If you're continually saying to yourself in the universe, when I have time, I'm going to do this thing, it's never going to happen. Watch that and pay attention to what are the things that you're saying that haven't seemed like a big deal, but actually are, and actually are preventing you from stepping fully into your manifestation potential. So this one kind of transitions me into the next one that I want to talk to you about really well. And that is wishy-washy decision making. I hate nothing more. For me, one of the most important parts of manifesting is deciding what you want and deciding that no matter what, you're going to have that thing. It's the decision, the power of decision. It's one of the most powerful tools in your toolbox. So this wishy-washy thinking thing and wishy-washy decision making is number 2 on my list, because if you cannot step fully into a decision and energetically back it, you're never going to manifest it. And this includes having a plan B. If you have a plan B, your plan A is never going to happen. It's this idea of burning the boats, right? When you go to conquer a country, what did the old, very, very smart warlords do? They burned the boats. There was no other option but conquering that country. It's the same with manifestation. As long as you have a plan B, plan A is never going to happen. As long as you're willing to settle for plan A or for plan B or plan C or even plan D, some of us, right? Then why would the universe possibly deliver you plan A when it knows that it's going to have to provide less effort to give you plan B and that you're going to settle for it? So you have to decide what it is that you want. And then you have to fully fucking energetically back that decision, that that is what you want, that you are not willing to accept anything less than that, not be wishy-washy in your decision making, and move forward full force towards the destination that you're going to. Don't get sidetracked along the way. Don't hop off the path. Don't stop to smell the flowers. Get to the destination. No wishy-washy decision making. No, I want that house, that specific house on the hill, in that neighborhood, but this house in this neighborhood would be just as good. No, neither of those things are going to happen. What is it that you want? Be firm. Be empowered in your decision making and fully energetically back yourself in the thing that you want because you are worthy and you are deserving. And when you feel ultimately worthy and ultimately deserving, then that's when you manifest. So get rid of all your wishy-washy decision making, get rid of your plan Bs, burn your fucking boats, and go after that thing that you want and that thing that you desire. So another thing that can be really debilitating to us is runaway thoughts. And this happens to the best of us. It's that thing where, you have so much on your mind. We all have things that we worry about, right? It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this work. It doesn't matter how many wealth consciousness hours you have. We all have times where we worry. We all have to deal with runaway thoughts. The important thing here is to not allow yourself to stay in that cycle, to stay on that hamster wheel of runaway thoughts. So when you notice that you're doing it and when you recognize that you're doing it, like when you're future tripping, when you're trying to figure out how this thing that you're worried about is going to work out and you're literally visualizing 20 different scenarios of how it can work out and how it can come to be, it's really important that you bring yourself back. You bring yourself back to your present moment. You ask yourself, what can I do in this moment to make this situation that I'm concerned about better? If there's nothing, then move on to something else. If there is something that can be handled right there in that moment, then handle it. Don't put it off. Ask yourself, okay, so I've got the situation. I'm worried about it. Maybe it's how am I going to pay my rent? Maybe it's, I have payroll for my employees coming up. Maybe it's, someone in my family needs my help or assistance, but I'm worried about this thing and I'm having runaway thoughts and I'm thinking of, 20 different outcomes or scenarios that could happen as a result of this thing that I'm concerned about. I stop, I take a breath. I literally connect back into my soul. I connect into my divine soul. I connect into source. And I ask myself, what can I do in this moment that's going to make this situation better? Is there an action? Is there an inspired action that I can take right now that will shift this trajectory of this thing towards my desired outcome? If there's nothing you can do right then it's time to surrender it. It's time to let it go. It's time to move on to something else where you can create impact in your life, where you can create shifts. It will come and it will resolve itself. And this is where you get to have faith that you are worthy and you are deserving of your desired outcome. This is where you get to surrender it over to the divine, God, source, universe, all that is, whatever you call it. You spending your time with runaway thoughts and worrying about things and staying on that hamster wheel of just recycling and recycling and recycling thoughts, it does you no good. And not only that, it clutters up your bandwidth. It's taking up your energy and your ability to create and manifest, which brings us to the next thing, number 4, which is cluttered bandwidth. Oh my gosh, this is such a big one. You guys hear me talk about bandwidth all the time. At any given moment, we have a specific amount of bandwidth. So what is bandwidth? Bandwidth to me is our ability to hold thought, feeling, emotion. It's literally our energetic availability to hold on to our thoughts, to hold on to our feelings, to hold all the data and information that our brain needs to hold to allow us to function in life. And so at any given time, we have a certain amount of bandwidth. I do believe that we can expand bandwidth. I believe that we can work towards expanding the amount of bandwidth that we have. We cannot expand our bandwidth when our bandwidth is full, and we cannot manifest or create when our bandwidth is full. So these runaway thoughts, these errant thoughts, these obsessive thoughts that we can have, they take up so much bandwidth. And when you surrender them and when you put them down, you then actually have the space in your bandwidth freed up to begin to manifest, to begin to create, to begin to come up with solutions for the things that you're concerned about, right? Other things that clutter and take up bandwidth, lingering things that have been on your to-do list for ages and ages and ages that you know you need to just sit down and tackle and get crossed off that list. Those things are bandwidth suckers, because even when you're not thinking about it in your conscious mind, your unconscious mind is running those lingering things like programs on a computer, like apps on your phone. They're open, they're there, they're running in the background, they're taking up bandwidth, right? So these lingering things, even if you're not thinking about them consciously, they're running in the back of your mind and they're taking up bandwidth. Literally going through your to-do list, taking a day and being like, okay, today I am going to cross off as many lingering things as I have on my list as possible. That's going to be my inspired action for the day. I'm going to cross off as many things as possible. Every single thing that you cross off that list is going to free up bandwidth for you to create and for you to manifest. And if you commit to a regular practice of clearing up bandwidth, you will see magic help happen in your life. So what are some other things? Piles of mail that have gone unopened. Email boxes full of thousands of emails that you haven't opened. Go in and delete all of that shit. If you haven't read it now, you're never going to. Like literally give yourself a clean slate. Free up the bandwidth. Every time you pick up your phone, when you see that little red dot that is like, you have 4,342 emails. No, get rid of that shit. Get rid of it. What else ties up bandwidth? There's so many little things that you would just be like, you'll be so surprised. So really what I encourage you to do is just bring your awareness to what are things that are filling up your bandwidth that maybe you're not completely consciously aware of. Obviously, it's got to come into your consciousness for you to be aware of it. But like ask yourself, ask your subconscious mind, ask your divine soul to show you the things that are taking up bandwidth that need to be cleared out, and get rid of them. Make a commitment to getting rid of them. Your life will dramatically change. And I promise you, you will start to manifest money. You will start to create the life that you deeply desire simply because you have the space. You have the ability now to see things outside the box. You have the ability to use that brain to actually do what it's intended to do, which is to come up with solutions, to come up with new ways of doing things, to help you manifest and create in your life. Another thing that causes bandwidth blockage or clogging is the little things around your house that you know you need to do. It's why I always give the assignments of cleaning out junk drawers and cleaning out your refrigerator, like completely cleaning out the junk drawers and organizing them and completely cleaning out the refrigerator to manifest money for rapid manifestation. It works every time because literally every time you open that junk drawer to try to find whatever the thing is in there that you're trying to find, your bandwidth in the background is like, oh, we need to clean out this junk drawer. Oh, we need to organize this junk drawer. That doesn't stop when you close the junk drawer. It literally continues on and on and on and on and on and on and on until the next time you go open the junk drawer, and then it gets reinforced. Oh, we really need to clean out this junk drawer. Just go clean out the junk drawer. I promise you, these two tools, if you did nothing else I ever told you, but you kept your refrigerator clean and all the expired condiments and shit that are in your drawer of your refrigerator, throw that shit out, and you kept your junk drawers clean, you would free up so much space for creation, manifestation, but also just money to flow into your life. They're old wives' tales, but they work really well. And this old wife promises you that if you free up bandwidth, you are going to manifest and create. I'm not old. I don't know why the hell I just said that. So, cluttered bandwidth. The little tasks around your house, those little honeydew lists that you have, you know, and maybe if you're single, it's honey yourself, honeydew, you do it, you take care of it. These things are important as well. So do you have a leaky shower head? Is there a sink or a faucet in your house that's constantly dripping? Is your closet really unorganized? Is there light bulbs are another one? Oh my gosh, light bulbs are a huge one. Replace all your light bulbs that are out. You know, one of them isn't that big of a deal when it comes to bandwidth, but 25 of them are taking up a lot of space that you could be using to create, a lot of space that you could be using to manifest. So it's important to really hold yourself accountable in all those things that you're letting slide by because you feel like you don't have time or you don't have energy. So feeling like you don't have time or you don't have energy or there's not enough hours in the day, you are becoming less and less efficient the longer that you put these things off because each one of them is adding into that place in your bandwidth that now you're running more programs in the background and more programs in the background. And so whatever is free in your bandwidth is being really heavily taxed by all that shit that's running in the background. I really encourage you to try this. I think that you're going to be blown away by how much your life shifts and changes when you start cleaning up lingering things, when you clean out those junk drawers, when you take care of that honeydew list. You know, there's so many other things that I could give you here, but I think that's a good place to stop. You've got some marching orders there and some actions that you can take. So the last thing I want to share with you today that is a huge, huge sabotager of manifestation is an unawareness of our own power. And we talked a little bit about this at the beginning when I first started talking about this, but believing that you can only manifest positive in your life, or even not fully believing what a powerful creator and a powerful being and a powerful manifester you are, is a huge way that we self-sabotage ourselves. Being aware of the power of even a single thought or a single word is really important. It's important if you're choosing to take this journey. It's important if you're choosing to invest your most precious resources, time, energy, money into manifesting, that you also hold yourself accountable and embrace that you are a creator and hold yourself accountable for what you're creating in your life. You're already creating positive and negative every single minute of every single day. And when you ignore that power and you don't acknowledge your ability to create, then you're creating things that you don't necessarily want to be creating. And you're creating without an awareness of what you're even creating. So acknowledging your power and having an awareness that you are a powerful being in and of itself shifts you into a place of positive manifestation. Because when you have an awareness of how powerful you are, when you have an awareness of how powerful one thought or one action or one deed can be, then you're embracing that you also have the power to create the things that are going wrong in your life. And this is where radical self-responsibility and radical accountability come into play. When you can be responsible for self and you can be accountable for self, and you realize that everything that's happening in your external environment is a direct result of your internal environment, then you can begin to control and mitigate, one, the self-sabotage, but also the negative things that you're manifesting. When you mind your mind and you mind your mouth and you make a practice of doing that on a daily basis, then you're truly in what I believe is the beautiful, beautiful flow of manifestation. And when you're accessing and you're harnessing that stream of consciousness that is manifestation for good, right? Instead of fucking up your life, instead of creating obstacles for yourself, instead of creating blocks. This is why I say all the time, you are your only limitation. Any blocks that you're running up against, any issues that you're having, you are creating them. And so holding yourself accountable, pulling yourself up on that, and really embracing what a powerful, powerful creator you are is going to mitigate a lot of that self-sabotage. And it's also going to empower you to step more into the beingness of who you are, of who you came here to be, of the impact that you came to make in the world. You know, again, I can't say it enough. You're so worthy and you're so deserving. If there's something that you can conceive of, if there's something that you desire, if there's something that you want and you can dream it, it is because you were meant to have it. Absolutely. If you can conceive it, you are meant to achieve it. So take your manifestation seriously. Mind your mind, mind your mouth, and go out and create that life that you deeply, deeply desire.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me. Remember, wealth is a mindset, and you absolutely deserve to live the life you deeply desire. And with belief and intention, you create your reality. Until next time, this is Leah Steele, the Wealth Witch.